Just ahead on the 30-minute news, there may be even more problems than was originally thought at the Ciba-Geigy plant in Glens Falls. We'll tell you about the results of the most recent soil tests there. A Long Island male nurse who was picked up in Albany last night could be charged with killing 10 or more of the patients he was responsible for. We'll have those stories and a whole lot more straight ahead on the 30-minute news.
This is WNYT, Albany. Ed Dague, Chris Kapostasy, meteorologist Herb Stevens, and Bob McNamara on sports. This is the 30-minute news.
Good evening. Ed has the night off. In the wake of charges of inefficiency leveled against ENCON, that agency tonight has results from soil tests done in Warren County. And there is some unsettling news tonight about pollution in Glens Falls. Test results are back from soil samples taken near the Ciba-Geigy plant. Steve Scoville is here with the latest.
Chris, the news is not good here, and the data from those samples indicate that more studies should be done at the plant and done soon.
This indicates that
these samples are just full of things like lead, chromium, barium, and copper. They came from the land and riverbank area near Ciba-Geigy's paint pigment plant in Glens Falls. This internal ENCON memo says the latest results received today show that the data clearly indicates that a variety of elements are much above background. In layman's terms, lots higher than they should be.
We found, for example, some sediments where the lead was over 16,000 parts per million. We would expect perhaps 20 parts per million of lead to be there. We found cadmium high, and we're very concerned about elevated cadmium levels because that can accumulate in animal livers, in kidneys, and cause kidney damage over a long period of time.
ENCON says the toxics have moved by discharge into the river, the runoff, and through the air. Stone says there should be more sampling in and around the plant, up and down the river, to determine the seriousness of the pollution. The human health threat is still not known.
The scary part to me is just that I've been doing this now for about 20 years with the state, and it appears there's no end to finding these kinds of problems. It's just one right after the other.
Later this week, some more sampling will be done in an old canal near the plant, and the call has already gone out with an ENCON for further tests.
Well, if the human health threat isn't known, Steve, how worried should area residents be at this point?
Well, at this point, they should not panic, but they should be concerned and just wait till more tests come in.
Okay, thanks, Steve. We will be waiting. The nearly $1.5 billion New York taxpayers voted to pay to clean up toxic waste dumps is tonight the source of controversy. Environmentalists are charging the state with mismanaging those funds. They say not one penny has been spent because New York is being soft on big business.
To the extent to which there are negotiations at all, they can get strung out forever by the polluters because basically Governor Cuomo has apparently decided that DEC should be treating the polluters with kid gloves.
So I think our achievement should be measured not in how much taxpayer money we spend, but in how much responsible party money we spend.
ENCON Commissioner Thomas Jorling says those responsible parties have spent almost $500 million for cleanup because companies fear if they don't, they'll be sued by the state. An Albany fire this morning is being called suspicious. The fire did little damage to the building at 88 Willett Street, but it did destroy some of the records of the attorney who occupies the building. That attorney, Alan Gandler, was to appear in court tomorrow and produce the records, which concern the finances of the now-closed Colony Coliseum. Gandler was connected with CDG Associates, the company set up by Coliseum owners to promote concerts and make videotapes. A former Saratoga County man who moved to Florida has been found not guilty tonight of murdering his wife and her parents last year. 75-year-old Reed Greinert, a one-time Ballston Spa resident, was found not guilty by reason of temporary insanity. A jury found that Greinert suffered stress from a pending divorce and that injuries in a car accident and insulin shock from diabetes made him not responsible for his actions. The trial lasted 11 days and the jury came to its verdict after 8.5 hours of deliberations. Meanwhile, a 25-year-old registered nurse from Long Island was picked up in Albany last night. Today, he's charged with criminal assault. But police say Richard Angelo may be charged with killing 10 or more patients while he worked at the Good Samaritan Hospital on Long Island. The DA for Suffolk County says Angelo tried to create emergencies so he could come to the patient's rescue.
He felt he was inadequate in his abilities, and he was trying to both experiment and at the same time, yes, be a hero. These people would, as a result of the injection, get in an extremist situation, and he would be the first on the scene to resuscitate them and get the credit.
Police say that's just how it worked. Angelo injected the patients with a powerful drug, then tried to revive them. 37 deaths are under investigation in this case. A number of bodies are expected to be exhumed. In Denver today, the National Transportation Safety Board began its investigation into the crash of a Continental DC-9 last night. 26 of the 82 people on board the plane were killed, including the pilot and co-pilot. The plane's black box is being examined to try to determine why it flipped over shortly after takeoff.
Things inside the aircraft move very slowly. I had time to think several times that I'm going to die.
Families of the victims of the crash today began to gather in Denver for the grim task of identifying the bodies. One small town in Idaho was particularly hard hit by the disaster.
Most of the people on the plane were from Idaho. At the Boise airport this afternoon, the survivors began coming home, still numb from the ordeal. Relatives of other crash victims were taking off for Denver, some to be reunited with the living, others to identify the dead. One official who has been dealing with the families of the crash victims said, "This area is pretty hard hit. There won't be enough shoulders to cry on." Hardest hit is the small farming town of Melba, about 35 miles from Boise. 8 of the high school's 125 students, a teacher and his wife, were coming back from a future farmers convention in Kansas City. 3 of the 10 died.
You think it's Melba, a small town, nothing can happen in Melba. Something did happen. And it just shocks everybody.
And this morning when we first came, everybody was just, we were all hoping. Now,
in a place where everybody knows everybody else, the grief runs deep indeed. George Lewis, NBC News, Boise.
What are the odds that New York's governor will run for president? We'll find out what a London bookmaker thinks of Cuomo's chances.
The 30-Minute News is brought to you in part by Aero Pontiac.
House Speaker Jim Wright today reportedly got into an all-out shouting match with Secretary of State George Shultz. At issue, the Speaker's involvement in peace talks for Nicaragua. After a White House meeting this morning, Wright accused the Reagan administration of a deliberate attack on him as a result of Wright's meetings with key players in the Nicaraguan peace process.
They invited themselves. And now if you want to know why people in Central America want to come and talk with me, I don't know, but I suppose it may be because I treat them as equals. I don't look upon them as inferiors.
The White House wasted no time firing back this afternoon, releasing a statement that said President Reagan had specifically told Wright that confusion might result if congressmen, quote, without coordination with the executive branch, involve themselves in complex negotiations. At the superpower arms talks in Geneva today, the chief American and Soviet negotiators said they have no doubts a missile treaty could be agreed upon before next month's planned summit meeting. But there are apparently some points to be worked out yet. After today's morning meeting, the two sides met in an unscheduled afternoon session, then extended their talks until tomorrow. Today marks the start of the 4th week of a deficit reduction summit in this country. Word is that progress is slow, with a November 20th deadline hanging over the group. If the negotiators can't come up with budget cuts by Friday, the Graham-Rudman law will force mandatory across-the-board cuts. Also in Washington today, the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare delivered petitions with 8 million signatures to Capitol Hill. The group is upset by news reports that the budget negotiators might be planning to put a cap on Social Security cost of living increases as a way to help cut the budget deficit. Leaders of the budget negotiations, however, say Social Security is not on the bargaining table in any form. What are the odds that Governor Cuomo will be the next president? Well, they're 4-1, at least according to a London bookmaking firm. The governor's name was added to Britain's legalized betting list for the U.S. presidential race for the first time today. A spokesman for the bookmaker says even though Cuomo continues to insist he will not seek his party's nomination, the governor is the 3rd favorite because so many people back him. Vice President George Bush is the favorite in London at 6-4. Senator Bob Dole close behind at 7-4, then followed by Governor Cuomo. Some other notables: Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis at 10-1. He is tied with evangelist Pat Robertson. Jesse Jackson brings up the rear of the list as a 50-to-1 long shot. And by the way, if Governor Cuomo does not run, all those who bet on him will get their money back. When we return, Herb will bring us word of short-lived balmy breezes in the forecast. We had a pretty nice day today, but a lot of the rest of the country has been contending with tornadoes.
Boy, there is a mess of weather, severe weather, in the southern part of the United States down near the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm going to spell out some of the numbers that go along with this severe weather outbreak, which is really, really strange for this time of year. We don't often have to worry about tornadoes, and when you hear some of the numbers that I've got, I think we'll count our blessings, and we'll deal with the snow as best we can when it comes, but big trouble right now for eastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, but not for us. We have got warm weather on the way for a while. The high today was 54, the low 25. Right now, the temperature has not gone down that much, even though we have clear skies. 46 degrees the current temperature, 37 the dew point. The barometer very, very high and holding steady at 30.50 inches of mercury. The winds from the south-southeast at 15 miles per hour. And we've had another dry day at the Albany County Airport. Goose eggs. I don't think that'll be the case tomorrow, though. Let's go take a look at the temperatures around the Northeast. Quite a bit of variability in the eastern part of the state. 33 degrees the current reading at Glens Falls, 46 at Albany. Now, the wind is blowing at Albany and also at Poughkeepsie, but it's calm at Glens Falls, and it's also nearly calm in Messina. That's allowing some radiational cooling. But where the wind is blowing to our west, temperatures are milder, although at Elmira, where it's 43 degrees compared with 55 in Buffalo, Elmira is calm. So again, radiational cooling works best when there is no wind. There's a large area of high pressure centered over Cape Cod, and high pressure areas don't like rain, and if they're big enough and strong enough, they can hold off the clouds that bring rain, and that's exactly what's happening over eastern New York and New England right now. There are bright stars and brisk temperatures, although it is cloudy as we go down to the south toward Philadelphia. That cloudiness not really associated with the storm. But back to the story of the high. Let's go to the satellite picture at 5 o'clock. And on it, you could see that we were clear in eastern New York. There were a few high, thin, wispy cirrus clouds around, but they were hard to see, really. Go ahead to 10 p.m., and remember that high is sitting right over Hyannisport, over the Kennedy compound. And all this moisture is trying to move to the east, but as it runs into the high, it just gets eaten up. But eventually, the high is going to move to the east and out of the way, and this tip of the iceberg, there's the iceberg itself, extending all the way from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. This cloudiness eventually is going to end up along the eastern seaboard. I think about 24 hours from now it will be raining. On Skywatch radar, you see some oranges and reds down there in the Dixie states. We don't see those that often this time of year. Now for those numbers, as we take a look at the jet stream, and this large trough down in Texas is moving to the east, and that's helping to spawn the severe thunderstorms. Since yesterday morning, there have been 66 reported tornado sightings in Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, 11 fatalities, 127 people injured, and I can't stress how unusual that is for this time of the year. Those sort of numbers with severe weather outbreaks usually come along in the springtime, not late in the fall. But this very powerful storm, you see 3 lows along here, but the strongest of them is down in Louisiana. That's headed north-northeastward, and its circulation is going to lift the moisture northeastward. It's going to be another warm day tomorrow. There were record highs today all the way from Miami to Muskegon. Warm tomorrow, then wet, and on the backside, cold air comes in later in the week. Let's take a look at the way the forecast breaks down. Quite a change coming up, but a gradual one. Just a few high clouds tonight, seasonably cool, 35 to 40. Tomorrow, we'll start with some sunshine, but the clouds will move in rapidly, and it will be windy and mild. Now, tomorrow night around dinner time, I think we're going to see the showers start, and they'll be horizontal for a while with the strong winds. Scattered downpours overnight and a few rumbles of thunder, 50 to 55 for a low, and only 53 to 58 for a high on Wednesday. We'll have some showers in the morning. As the front goes through, it'll start to turn cooler, and another front will set off sprinkles on Thursday, and they'll change to snow flurries. Let's take a look at the contest rules for the 13 snow game. Next 6-inch snowfall at the airport on a postcard with your name, address, and phone number. You can only send us one card. It has to have a November postmark, and you have to send it to this address. There it is, the 13 snow game address, and part of the grand prize packages are 2 seasons passes at Ski Wyndham.
Thank you for your correct verbiage.
I had to check on that. Don't want to get any phone calls from the English teachers.
That's right. Thanks, Herb. Well, hunters say it was not ideal weather for the opening of hunting season today. Too warm and no snow for good tracks. But those were comparatively small problems as the season got off to a shaky start. 2 people were killed in hunting accidents today, 1 seriously injured. And in Ballston Spa, a hunter aimed at a deer and missed, but did shoot a horse. The erring marksman faces charges. Last year, hunting season produced a record low number of accidents. Environmental conservation officials say this year, hunters are performing an important service. The deer population is too large for safety, they say, and must be reduced. Early reports are that plenty of deer were taken today. Some very bad news tonight for the New York Giants. Mac will have that story. He'll also have a preview of the new-look Albany High basketball team. All next. Lawrence Taylor, who made a big play at the end of the game yesterday, paid the price.
He really did. It looks tonight as if he will not be playing at all Sunday against New Orleans, and of course that's a good football team. That's going to hurt the Giants if he doesn't play. LT, believe it or not, is on the verge of missing the first game in his 7-year pro career, and it may not be the last either. Turns out tonight that LT tore his hamstring here when he nailed Randall Cunningham near the sidelines, just a yard short of a first down at the Giants' 26 that killed the Eagles' last chance for a win yesterday in that 2017 decision. If he had made that first down, the Giants could have been cold meat, but LT saw that he didn't, and that one big play could turn out to be very, very costly in the long run. Giants coach Bill Parcells says tonight the type of injury Lawrence Taylor suffered usually sidelines a player from 2 to 4 weeks. In college ball, Ohio State today sidelined their head coach, Earl Bruce, for good, at least with the Buckeyes. In a sudden move, they fired him. The athletic director, Rick Bay, so upset about the whole thing here, he quickly called a news conference and resigned himself in sympathy. Ohio State very unhappy over Saturday's loss to Iowa, and unhappy over the fact, too, that Bruce's club had won only 5 of 10 games this year. Never mind about the fact that he has a better overall win record career-wise than any other coach in the Big Ten. All Ohio State knows tonight is that he didn't win enough this year, which is kind of sad. So they fired him, effective after Saturday's final game against Michigan. In schoolboy basketball, a lot of people talking about Mount Pleasant for a Big Ten title this year, but a lot of others are talking about Albany High. Rodger Wyland reports.
When you talk about Albany High School, you're talking about a team that has won the Big Ten championship the last 3 years. But this season, Coach Paul Lyons must replace the likes of Willie Foley, Aaron Dare, and Corey Dace.
If we can get a half of Corey Dace out there, we'll be happy.
And right now, the top candidates for the starting point guard job are Derek Johnson and George Zakaris. But Albany's best player and one of the premier players in the area is 6'2" guard James Johnson.
Well, he's got to be our rock. He's got to be our steadying influence. He's our only starter back. He averaged around 11 a game. He's got to do it for us night in and night out.
Now, another player that also needs to come through for Coach Lyons is the newcomer, Harry Hart, a 6'7" senior who's playing organized ball for the first time.
We're trying to look for him and get it inside, and hopefully he'll be a factor for us.
Rodger Wyland, 13 Sports.
Well, the College Boards, it's unanimous tonight. Both UPI and the Associated Press are in agreement. Syracuse is their pick as the preseason NCAA favorite. The Orange, of course, led by 6'10" center Ron Cycli here, plus point guard Sherman Douglas and the 6'9" elevator Derek Coleman. Here's the UPI coach's call. This out just tonight. Syracuse #1, followed by his Demas in North Carolina. Then it's Indiana, Michigan, and Pittsburgh. And the second 5, Purdue, Kentucky, Kansas, Mizzou, and Arizona. Going to be interesting. Reports out of New York tonight that the Rangers are talking long and hard to Edmonton right now about a deal for Paul Coffey. They could certainly use him, but it will surely take an awful lot to get him. In the National Hockey League tonight, Hartford and Montreal skate to a 3-3 overtime tie, and the Adirondack Red Wings got stung today. They lost their top defenseman, Doug Huda, to you-know-who. Detroit needs him, and when Detroit calls, Adirondack responds. Huda led all Adirondack defensemen with 1 goal and 10 assists. In the NFL tonight, a good one going in Denver. The Bears are beating Denver. The score 26-21. It is late in the game, Chris.
Well, after what Elway did to my Bernie Kosar in the AFC Championship last year, go McMahon. Oh, well. Up next, what does a job as a potato chip sorter do to a person? I bet you've been pondering that for years. We'll meet a woman who says she sees famous faces, and they're all in the chips. At 6, we told you the story of Mysterious Bob. About 6 weeks ago, his face began appearing, painted on a variety of places throughout Albany. A bank even had to break open its vault and come up with the cash to remove Bob from the premises. Passers-by suggested he might be Bob Barker of game show fame. Oh, but apparently they've got the wrong Bob. Lots of viewers called to assure us this is Bob Applebaum of National Lampoon magazine. Now the only mystery is, who brought Bob here? It's a mystery Albany police would like to solve. Here's a mystery a lot of people are looking for the answer to. Why is a grown woman taking rejected potato chips she finds as a potato chip inspector and touring them around the country? This story, too, is a case of hidden identities.
As warm potato chips jiggle by on a conveyor belt, inspectors throw away the ones with unappetizing brown spots. But sometimes those discolored chips spark the imagination of Myrtle Young.
I was finding little pets and birds and butterflies, but now I have Bob Hope and I have Rodney Dangerfield.
As Myrtle's collection has gained fame, so has she. She's been seen on national TV, rubbing elbows with David Letterman, and as a guest on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Now that would be it's a dog. It's a dog.
An angry dog or an angry bear?
Kind of like a beagle.
All right.
Okay.
After USA Today ran a front-page story on Myrtle.
Good afternoon, Seifert Foods. May I help you?
Seifert's was swamped with phone calls from all over the country. But people don't just want to talk to Myrtle. One customer stopped by the factory to have his bag of chips autographed.
It's a Cinderella story, that's for sure. Yes, unbelievable.
From Fort Wayne, Indiana, Linda Hofstein reporting.
Who can argue? Unbelievable. It's a tough story to follow, but I bet they'll try on The Tonight Show. We'll see you tomorrow night at 6.